One of my favorite things in the world to do is watch Friends. I know it's been off for years and years. It's not even around, but I still find myself binge watching old episodes. And I was thinking about this today and thinking, it's the predictability of the friends in the circle, right? You have Chandler with his quirkiness, Monica with her type A of just everything has to be so neat and tidy and organized. It's Phoebe's ability to make you laugh at her silly songs. Ross always comes in with those smart comments, and Joey and him and his food, like it is just so hilarious. And of course, Rachel, she just brings everybody together, and it's just such this beautiful, cohesive team of people. And it's why I wanted to come on and share with you today that I have an opportunity for you to find your friends in the content creation space. So if you are thinking about creating your first or your next digital course, I don't want you to miss this opportunity because Amy Porterfield just opened the doors for registration for her Course Confident Bootcamp. And I'm actually offering a special bonus for anyone that registers for the Course Confident Bootcamp through my special link. So I want you to go to crystalprofit.com/Amy-bootcamp to register. That's crystalprofit.com/Amy-bootcamp. And what you're going to find when you get there is I have this special bonus private podcast series. It's called Money Mindset for Creators. So I want you to go register for Amy's bootcamp, download the podcast, and immediately start listening to it, because what this training is set up to do is to help you get your mind right about monetizing your content, making money so that you can fuel your content creation dreams. So go to crystalprofit.com/Amy-bootcamp to register for Course Confident. And I cannot wait for you to find your friends and find the people that will be there for you. Do you see what I did there? Yeah, nice little friends segue connection. Go to crystalprofit.com/Amy-bootcamp. And I cannot wait to see you inside. Okay, let's get into today's episode. Hey there, podcast listeners. I know that there are some funky things going on in the world right now. Like truly, we don't know ups and downs or even what day it is, or if we should change from our daytime pajamas to our nighttime pajamas. I'm just kidding. I hope that you have been showering and actually like getting dressed every day, because it will make you feel 1,000 times better. But in the state of everything that's going on in the world today, I thought that I should bring you something that would make you laugh. So I'm so happy to announce my brand new podcast. It's called The Potty Report. Yes, you heard it here first. You heard that correctly. The Potty Report. Not to be confused with potty. If you have toddlers and small children, we're not talking about going potty, but we're talking about listen to potties, which are podcasts. And I'm so excited. So make sure that you check out thepottyreport.com and see what it's all about, because it is a daily show. Yes, you heard that right. Every single day, Monday through Friday, you're going to get a little dose of me. It's going to be in short little segments that are sure to take your podcast to the next level, or at the very least, entertain you just a little bit more. So make sure you go to thepottyreport.com to check it out. Are you feeling just kind of like blah lately? You like my blah? I mean, guys, like we are in a funky time in the world. And it's funny because I said, oh, we're just going to keep on going with business as usual with this podcast. But let's be honest, that was the me of 2 weeks ago. And the me that didn't know all the things that I know now about the things that we still don't know about, right? Like nobody knows all the things that are happening in the coming days. But I do know that everything that I've been feeling over the last few weeks is real. And I really want to talk about the content strategy that I've adopted during these uncertain times. So let's get right to it. Welcome to the Profit Podcast, where we teach entrepreneurs how to start, launch, and market their podcast. I'm your host, Crystal Profit, and I'm so excited that you're here. Thanks for hanging out with me today, because if you've been trying to figure out the world of podcasting, think of this show as the time-saving shortcut you've been looking for. So let's get right to it, shall we? So like I said in the beginning, we're just living in some weird times, right? Like nobody knows up from down, like left from right. There's so much uncertainty in the world right now. And I want to talk about content because I've addressed this a few times in a few Facebook Lives over the last week. And I feel like a lot of podcasters and content creators in general are holding back right now because they don't know what to do. Like it's kind of almost like being frozen in time. And they're just concerned, like, I don't want to step on my audience's toes. I don't want them to feel like I'm trying to be overly salesy to them. I'm trying to, keep trust. And there's just a lot of different viewpoints that I've seen. And I want to share, honestly, I don't even know where this came from. The saying, I don't know if it was from a movie. I don't know if it was from a TV show I saw. I have no idea where this came from. But the phrase that's really been in my mind the last few weeks is, if you're feeling froggy, jump. And I don't know if that's just something that, I don't know. I can't. I probably should have looked it up to see if it was something that came from somewhere. I don't know. My brother is notorious for his ridiculous sayings. So I thought, oh, maybe that's something that he said. I have no idea. But, yeah, if you're feeling a little froggy about what you had planned on doing, then jump. Like, so what does this mean? Like, we're going to totally unpack this saying and what I mean by all of it. But I'm going to tell you, I'm a planner. Like, if you follow the Enneagram types and everything, like I am a 3. I'm a achiever. Like that is my thing. Like I see a goal. I want to crush the goal, like not just kind of hit it. Like I want to knock it out of the park. And so with me, I planned my entire 2020 back in December of 2019. And I had this idea of, okay, I'm definitely not set in stone with all of my plans, but I did have an idea of how things were going to go down, right? Like I have a general idea of how each month of 2020 was going to happen, right? And a global pandemic was not something I had planned for, right? I mean, who can say that they did? Who can say that this was on anybody's radar, that things would go down the way that they have? So I look back and I've said this on the podcast many times, but I plan my content, my product releases, my promotions, like all the things that I do. I literally planned all of that in December of this past year. So I don't do a lot of like bait and switch. Like I'm gonna like change things up. I'm just gonna wipe the slate clean and start out, like scrap everything and start all over. I don't work really well that way because it's just a lot of uncertainty, and I do like planning. However, I've been feeling a little froggy lately. So going back to the original, like if you're feeling froggy, jump. I was looking at my podcast content calendar, and I'll link to a bunch of episodes and YouTube videos when I talk about planning content, because I know this is something I know a lot of podcasters struggle with. They're like, what should I talk about? How often should I talk about it? How long should I talk? Like all the things. Everyone has questions about content, and rightfully so, because that's the whole premise behind your podcast, right? You got to have good content. You got to deliver value, and you got to be able to convey a great message to your audience. That's why people come and listen to you. If you have crappy content, people aren't going to keep coming around week after week. So it's why I talk about content so much. But lately, I've been looking at my content calendar and just kind of feeling like, blah, none of this works. Like none of the things I had planned to do, even through March, like some of the things I had planned, I was like, man, none of this is I'm scrapping all of it. And then there's content I had already planned, like going into June, you guys, like, and not just, oh, I'm like a week ahead. I had planned all this content going into June that I literally look at it and it does not excite me. It does not bring me joy. It doesn't and I cannot fake this, like sitting behind this mic. I cannot fake this. I can't. And if I do, I can go back and listen to episodes where I'm just like, ooh, I wasn't really in that. I wasn't really doing that. And to be honest, that really hasn't happened since I rebranded. I could go back and listen to a lot of my really old podcast episodes and I can kind of feel in my voice, like listening to myself, because I know myself, listening and like, oh, you really weren't into that podcast episode. But I don't want that to happen going forward. So anytime I sit down, I've been like hyper aware of my own, like just self-awareness. Whenever I sit down, if I don't feel good about something, I'm not going to do it. Maybe I will still accomplish the same goal, but I'm going to come at it from a different angle. And that's really what this is about. Like I had planned to talk about, doing more batching content and planning content to work around, your marketing or your business promotions or all that. But none of that matters right now. Maybe it matters to some businesses, but to the majority of this audience, y'all just want to know what do I even talk about? What direction do I go in right now? Because I was planning on launching something in the next few months, or I was planning on, opening up, a brand new product for sale, or I was planning on opening up a brand new brick and mortar. And this podcast was going to there are so many things, so many variables that are going on in the world right now. And the one thing that I really, really wanted to address today on this podcast was if you are feeling that gut feeling of either being unsure about your content or the approach, like what you had planned on doing, then change it. Change it. Don't feel like you are absolutely married to one idea that you kind of had that you're like, this sounds good, but now you're like, oh, I don't know if I should do this going forward. Change it. I mean, I'm super impressed by all the major networks that have really, really big shows that have totally pivoted to a platform that is not what they're used to. I'm talking from news stations to late night shows to just so many different things that have gone to I don't know about y'all, but I've been seeing so many Instagram lives lately with people collaborating. I've seen multiple book tours that were supposed to be in person. They're doing them on Instagram Live, where they'll have two people coming on. In the last 2 weeks, I've been on someone else's Facebook Live and had someone else come onto mine. So it's I see people evolving and adapting to what is going on. And I think that that's what we need to do with our content. So if you are a grade A student of mine, you've been listening to the content planning and having strategy and doing all that, that's fantastic. I think you should still plan your content that way. But I do also believe that if you sit down to record and something that you had planned on doing months ago is that date has approached, where you're like, oh man, I was supposed to sit down and record this, but I'm not feeling it today, then change it up. Change it up. Don't fake it. I don't think faking it till you make it in podcasting is a great idea, simply because your audience can tell when you're faking it. I'm sitting here, I'm in my office. It's a Thursday. I'm sitting here. My kids are being crazy in the other room. They're screaming upstairs, but at least they're upstairs. I'm just we're in unprecedented times where normally I would be the only person home right now. Maybe me and the dog, or maybe me and my youngest son. Maybe he would be here in the other room, hanging out, watching TV, but it would just be us. But I've let go of the way things should be, and I'm adapting adapting to the way that I know I need to show up for my audience, because that is the only way to keep moving forward. If you keep hanging on to this idea of, oh, things are just going to go back to the way that they were, they're not. And I don't know what's ahead for us, but I do know that we are, like, the big buzzword everyone's using is like, we're moving towards a new normal. I don't know what that looks like, but I know that I'm ready. I'm ready to evolve. I'm ready to adapt. I've done my grieving over what life was like before everybody's staying at home and school's closing and doing, like, working from home, doing all the things. And I'm just asking myself every day, what can I do with my content that excites me, that will make my audience excited to listen to it and help them move forward? How can I serve? Not like, okay, and I'm gonna go on a rant real fast because it's been bugging me really bad, and I kind of went on a rant last week. But everyone talking about, oh my gosh, my podcast numbers have dropped. Like, what is happening? Like, I should just quit podcasting because all of my podcast number, like, my downloads have dropped. There's no point in podcasting anymore. To those people, I don't know that that's anyone listening to this podcast. I hope it's not. But to those people, I have one very, very specific message. If you are worried about your downloads right now, you are doing this for the wrong reasons. Let me say that again. If you're worried about your podcast numbers dropping off right now, you are doing this for the wrong reasons. Why do I say that? It's because, like, if that's what it's about for you, you're never going to be happy podcasting. It's just, you're not. You are going to burn out so quickly that even if it wasn't today or tomorrow, it's going to be 6 months from now when, you know, something happens and, like, you don't have the amount of people show up that you thought were going to show up. You will not be happy. You won't be. Like, if that's, and even so, you could get to a point where you have 100,000 downloads for every single episode. Is it still going to be enough? Like, for me, I'm perfectly happy with where my numbers are because I know, and I think about this, and I heard this from another online mentor that was like, even if you only have 10 people listening to your podcast, imagine those 10 people sitting in front of you at your kitchen table. Like, I can't even fit 10 people comfortably around my kitchen table. My kitchen table's not that big. Are you kidding me? Like, I would feel so blessed to have 10 people that I could serve and share my message to and have this intimate relationship of telling them and helping them and continuing to serve them and add value. So that's how I want you to think about your podcast right now. Not, oh, I don't have, all the ones that it doesn't matter. Who is still showing up for you? Who is still showing up for your podcast today? Those are the people that you need to worry about. You don't need to worry about the people that have gone. You don't need to worry about the people that have, they're doing other things. They can't listen. There's rightfully so. There's a lot of people that don't have the luxury of listening to podcasts right now. And I get it. I don't blame them. I don't shame them. But I know the people that are interested in listening to this podcast will make it a priority, or whenever they do come back, they're going to binge listen to all the awesome things that have been going on since they last got to tune in. So I want you to just shift your mindset. Again, going back to, like, if you're feeling froggy about something with your podcast, then I want you to jump. I want you not to, like, kind of tiptoe. Like, I want you to jump. I want you to change directions. I want you to think about your podcast differently. I want you to create your content differently. And I just want you just to keep moving. Like, that's the whole point, right? Like, if you're feeling froggy, like, I don't want you to get trapped in some kind of quicksand where you're just like, you're eventually going to drown and your podcast is just going to cease to exist. That is the one thing that I do not want to happen to you, my friend. I do not want you to look back 6 months from now and say, man, I really wish I would have just kept going with my podcast, because that's the one thing that I knew I could control. That was the one thing that I knew could keep me connected to my audience and tell them, hey, this is what's going on with me. Hey, what's going on with y'all? Hey, I would love to hear back from you. Like, start getting emails from your community and just talk to them directly. If you're like, Crystal, I can't teach right now, or I talk about selling, or I talk about this and it just doesn't feel like the right time, then just talk to your community. Like reach out to them, reach out on social, reach out in an email and say, what do you guys want me to talk about right now? If you're totally lost, ask your community. They will tell you what they need from you right now. And if they don't, then who knows? Just get on there and say, hey guys, I don't know what to talk about today, but I'm still showing up. I promise you'll find something to eventually to talk about, whether it's your neighbors are, incessantly mowing their lawn, or, the kids down the street are playing outside at all hours of the night, like whatever it is, like you will eventually find something to talk about. But please keep showing up for your audience. Do not give up on them. Please don't give up on your audience. I want to see you having a podcast 6 months from now. That is my one goal right now, is to keep everybody that has a podcast to continue to podcast. And then like the above and beyond goal is to have everybody that's been thinking about starting a podcast do it. Do it now. Do it right now in this time of uncertainty, in this time of like, I don't know what's going on. Because if you need a creative outlet and you've always loved speaking, you've always loved podcasts, you've always thought about doing it, now is the time. Now is the time to do it. I'm just going to be, of course, I'm going to tell you that because I love podcasting. I want to see everybody, but I don't just want to see you like kind of like let your creative juices, your creative, like your creative being die because you just were like, I don't know what to say. I just don't want that to happen to anybody ever. So I'm going to stop with my rants and my tangents today. I'm just going to end this episode with, if you're feeling froggy, my friend, I want you to jump all in and just keep going. Just keep going. No matter what you have to do, do not give up on your podcast. Please, I beg of you, do not give up on your podcast. So that's all I have for you today, guys. So go to crystalprofit.com/episode 142. I don't even know what I'm going to put in the show notes there because I feel like today was just a bunch of rants. Maybe I'll put some funny pictures. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to find a picture of my brother and I and think of like the 10 most ridiculous sayings that he's ever said to me. But I don't even know if I can do that because most of them are inappropriate and have a bunch of cuss words. So I don't even know if I could do that. But I will find something interesting for you to go check out in the show notes. So thank you so much for listening. I do want to say that. Like, I so appreciate the time that you're spending here with me during all the things that are going on right now, because maybe this is the one thing that you're like, gosh, like I just need to get away from everybody and just have like a little time to myself to kind of check out and listen to someone that's, it's not the news. It's not this. It's not, it's not Bubble Guppies or something. My son was on a Bubble Guppies like thing forever. And oh my gosh, that's like, it still makes me cringe a little bit. Now I'm going to have the theme song stuck in my head, but you get it, right? Like if this is your escape, I am so honored that you're spending time with me here today. And I so appreciate it. And if this is your first time tuning in, then what a doozy. Like what a doozy to join us on. But now you know what I'm all about, this is how I feel. And I hope that you continue to follow along on this podcasting journey. If you have not already, would you please hit subscribe? That way we can, we'll notify you every time we put out brand new episodes every single week. And I invite you to join us in our Facebook group. Did you know we have a Facebook group? We have a Facebook group for this podcast. And every single week, Monday through Friday, I'm sharing tips and strategies. And if you have your own podcast, I actually give you an opportunity to plug your show and promote yourself every Wednesday. So go to the show notes and you'll see it's the Profit Podcast Community on Facebook. We'd love to have you in the Facebook group to chat and learn more about all things podcasting. I go live in there and just all the things. It's a happening place. But that's all I have for you today, guys. So remember, keep it up. We all have to start somewhere. Hey, Profit Podcast listeners. Thanks for sticking around to a little bit after the episode to hear this special message because I want to hear from you. We are starting a new segment called Fan Mail Shoutouts, and I want to hear from you and I want to hear your questions. What do you want to know? What questions have you been dying to ask me? So here's how to make this happen. Go to the app where you're listening to this podcast right now. Go there. I'll wait a second. Okay. Now, once you're there, you're going to see a hyperlink at the top of the episode description that says, send Crystal a text message. And that's all I want you to do. Send me a text. It could be casual, informal. It could be totally anonymous. Or if you want, you can include your name and the name of your podcast or content wherever you are creating, and I will give you a special shout out in an upcoming episode. So again, go to the show notes for where you're listening to this episode right now, and it will say, send Crystal a text message. And I cannot wait to hear from you and give you a shout out in an upcoming segment of Fan Mail Shoutouts.